I appreciate the opportunity we've had to work together. Unfortunately, we've been working on a problem that is at this moment unsolved, and that's the fatalities we're seeing in the coal fields and the grief that has come to the families of coal miners throughout this country. Ranking Member Klein, we appreciate this opportunity, the members of the committee, my fellow West Virginians, Congressman Ray Hall and Congresswoman Capito. I applaud your leadership that you have shown throughout the time of the Upper Big Branch tragedy, trying to comfort the families who have lost loved ones. I want to thank this committee for naming this legislation after my dear friend, Senator Byrd. The last appearance he made in the United States Senate was on Upper Big Branch, and I had the opportunity, and I believe I was the last witness to ever testify before Senator Byrd. Had the opportunity to go up and thank him for what he had done for coal miners, and I said at the time of his death, he was the best friend a coal miner ever had. I want to mention one other person here today. I want to applaud the courage of a coal miner who's testifying here today, and that's Stanley Stewart. I hope everybody on this panel and on this committee understands the courage it takes for someone like Stanley to come here and testify and tell you what has gone on in this coal mine and what a difficult position that places him in. And I admire him for what he has done, and I've told him that personally. I want to say that these miners who lost their lives at Upper Big Branch, they were employees of Massey Energy, but they were also my friends. I knew a number of these miners, played ball with some of them. I knew their parents, and in some instances, I knew their grandparents. And I'd just like you to think for a moment, there was a young man, and it's been mentioned here, but not dwelt upon very much, named Josh Snapper. You have to work 6 months in a coal mine to get a miner's certificate in the state of West Virginia. He had not yet earned a miner's certificate, but he knew he was working in a dangerous place. And if a 25-year-old miner who had not yet obtained a miner's certificate knew he was working in a dangerous place, didn't everybody else know that? Didn't the CEO of this company know that? Didn't the mine foreman know that? Didn't everyone know this? He wrote a letter to his mother, and he had a one-year-old baby that I had the opportunity to meet at the memorial service in Beckley. And he said, tell my fiance, tell my baby that I love him and I love you, Mom. Those are the kind of letters we used to write when we was going to Vietnam. World War II, World War I, Korea, people going off to the Mideast to fight. You understand a young man writing those kinds of letters. That's the kind of letters we're supposed to write going to work. This young man knew that he was in a seriously dangerous place, and he lost his life there. He knew he might, and he left a letter behind. Mr. Chairman, I would just say to you that some think we're moving too fast here, but I've had to revise my testimony several times as I've appeared in the Senate and in the House because of the fatalities that continue to occur here. On Friday, we had the 41st fatality that happened in Illinois. That's just this past Friday. So as we ask ourselves, are we moving too fast? Maybe we should ask ourselves, are we moving too slowly here? Because miners are continuing to die in this nation's coal mines, and we've got to find out why. I want to point out something, if I might. 41 miners have died this year in the nation's coal mines. 31 of them in one place, one company. Now, we can say, gee, that's just unfortunate that occurred. That's not unfortunate. There's something wrong here when 31 out of 41 fatalities occur at one company. It's not just 31 out of 41 this year, 54 fatalities at this one company in 10 years. And this same company comes to Congress and testifies that they have the safest mines in the country. God help us if that's true. We know, and there's no one up on this dais today, and no one sitting here today knows that this is a normal occurrence. There is something drastically wrong at this company, and 41 miners have lost their lives this year, and we have failed these miners in this country when that happens, and we have to do something about that. I'm going to tell you what works, and I'm going to simplify this. We have to have good laws. We have to have those laws obeyed, and we have to have those laws enforced by our government, whether it's federal or state, and we've got to punish those who fail to abide by the law. I'm going to tell you why good laws work. There's a perfect example of that. We just recently celebrated the 40th anniversary of the Mine Act. In those 40 years prior to the passage of the 1969 Act, 32,000 coal miners died. How many? 32,000. 40 years after the passage of the Act, 3,200. So those who say laws don't work, the statistics say otherwise. Now, every time we have ever passed a law or considered a law, there are those who come here and say it's going to put us out of business. I invite you to go back and get the legislative history of the 1969 Act, when people came in here and said, if we have to comply with this law, there won't be a coal mine operate in the United States of America. I suggest to you that the coal industry has continued to operate. It has continued to prosper. Good laws, obey those laws. And I'm going to make a bold statement here. Most of this industry, and I have said as high as 95%, do the right thing. So we're not writing laws here to destroy an industry. We're writing laws to try to make those who will not obey the law comply. That's what we're trying to do. And we have to give MSHA the tools that they need to enforce the laws, and we've got to punish those who absolutely refuse, Mr. Chairman, just refuse to comply with these laws. They turn their backs on them, they ignore them, and say these laws really don't pertain to me. And I don't care what Congress writes, I don't care what Congress says, I'm not complying. Now, you've got to come to grips with that. That's the truth. Now, I know I'm getting a little emotional here, but just do the research on it and see if I'm telling you the truth. You've got to stop the lawbreakers if you want to save miners' lives. And with that, I thank you, Mr. Chairman.